Alrighty guys, we're back. Got a very busy shed. Here's my most recent purchase and here's what we're working on today. Got a busted fuel gauge in it and it has been since I bought it 4 years ago. Just doesn't read ever unless it's got a full tank, which it reads about a quarter. So I bought a 350Z shell for 150 bucks, which I think is pretty good considering all the trim pieces that are in it and other bits that I can scavenge off of it. And we're going to start with the fuel gauges. So in the Zeds, the fuel gauges are behind the seats, back in these cubbies. On this side is the subwoofer. This is an Australian car, US would be on the other side. So behind the driver's seat, you've got the subwoofer, and then behind the passenger seat, you've got the little cubby, little glove box here. And you've got two fuel tank sensors. So one is the fuel pump assembly, which on the Australian car is behind the driver's seat. I'm not sure if it's the same as the US ones. And then on the passenger side is the just the sensor assembly. So this side it's a bit hard to pull out, so I'll do it a bit later. This side's the fuel pump end level, and the passenger side is just the level sensor. So we're going to swap those over today. I think the only parts that you need apart from those is over here I've got little O-rings. So there's the part number 17342-01A00, and you'll need two of them if you're replacing both sensors. And we're gonna get into it. Alrighty guys, so I've already been in here and disconnected everything, so I'm just gonna pull these out and show you what the assembly looks like, and then I'll show you how to pull them out on my car. So this one is a bit tricky to get out because it's got a bit more to it. There's a little hose attached to it, and then there's also the spring and the level. So you want to be very careful with it because this is going into my car. If you've got a brand new one, you obviously won't have to worry about what the old ones coming out do. So this is what the assembly looks like. On my other car, I'll show you this little clip there is actually attached to a hose in the fuel tank. This guy. So it's corrugated so you can tell what it looks like, and then it's got the little clip up top. Goes to that, and then there's a top hose that is rubber, I'm pretty sure, that attaches to the top one, and then you've got the clip. So this is the whole assembly. That's what it looks like. And this is the fuel pump and level sensor. So you've only got one of these. The other side is just a level sensor. Be very careful with them. They're expensive. One thing I need to note is that this is out of a 2008 Model Z, so this is a HR. Mine's a 2003, so it's a DE, and I'm pretty sure the part numbers were different for the pump assemblies, so I'm just sort of hoping that this fits. I haven't done any research, but if it doesn't fit, I'm sure I'll be able to figure out how to make it fit. And I don't know, I'm kind of hoping it's a bigger pump just from factory, but I don't know. I'll figure that out and I'll put it in the description. I'll tell you guys later. Alrighty guys, so now we're on the passenger side. Open up your little glove box and there would be a floor here, which is behind me now. So then you pull up the insulation like so. Then there's this metal lid. Pull that up and out of the way. I'm going to grab the... So this is the sender assembly. You'll notice that there's no pump and there's no hoses coming off the top. It just reads the level of the fuel tank. Be very careful not to bend this rod because this is what actually gives the information. So if you bend it down, it'll read higher than what it is, and if you bend it up, it'll read lower than what it is, I think. Yeah, I think that makes sense in my head. Don't bend them. Alrighty guys, this is what my fuel gauge looks like all the time, apart from directly after I fill up when it reads about a quarter full. So just for reference, you know, if you guys have a broken gauge, this is what yours probably looks like. So we're gonna hopefully fix that today. So that's as far forward as this seat will come. So I'm going to do this side while I'm sitting in this seat. We're going to disconnect the battery, come to this one, and then we'll reconnect the battery and push this seat backwards, and I'll just swap sides and do them while I'm sitting in the car. Alrighty guys, so we're playing with the fuel tank and we're playing with electronics and stuff, and we don't want any sparks while we're in there, so we're going to disconnect the battery. The other car didn't have a battery, so there was nothing to disconnect. So we're going to start by doing that. So now we disconnect the subwoofer, 4 screws, and then it's got a plug behind it. And just like that, subwoofer's out. Right, so now we're going to peel back this sound deadening insulation stuff. Push it back as far as we can, just like that. And now that gives us access to these little tops in here. So they have a Phillips head hole in them. I think they're easy to just grab with pliers and twist because they are a little bit tight and they're only plastic, so you'll probably strip it if you use a screwdriver. So you can see mine is quite dirty. Try not to get that in your fuel tank. I might blow mine off with an air duster or brush it out, just to try and avoid accidentally brushing some in. Gonna pull a little bit of slack through that grommet, just so that I've got a bit more room. So this is the plug we want to undo. I'm gonna push on the top of it and pull backwards. Just like that, it comes out. And for the fuel pump or fuel hose, you want to squeeze it on the sides here. Squeeze that and push the hose backwards. Alright, so got an 8mm ratchet here. Just going to work our way around. I think there's 6 bolts holding it in, and they're just teeny weeny ones. You don't want to lose them because you will need them. Alright guys, so we've undone the 6 bolts surrounding the fuel pump. Gonna undo this fuel line now. Alright, so this assembly is ready to come out now. Keep in mind that there is a hose still attached to it halfway down. And it's a very full fuel tank. So on the back side here, I'm struggling to spin the pump to show you guys. There's a hose that's still attached. If I can get it out a bit higher, I might be able to show you guys. So that's the hose that we want to disconnect. And you see, you just pull one lip up, pull it down. Same thing on the other side, you just got to do 2 at a time, which is a little bit tricky. And there we go. So this assembly can now come out. We're dribbling fuel. I think it'll definitely be easier to plug the new one in outside of the tank than inside the tank. So we're going to do that, and I'm just going to mop up some fuel. We've got our new O-ring here, and the old one is just around the rim of the fuel tank where the pump goes in. Just going to pull that out. These often don't go back to the size that they need to sit in the groove, so people have a lot of trouble with getting them to reseal. I think I would have been alright because mine didn't come out of the groove, but just to be safe I bought new ones. It's not really something that you want to get all back together and then realise that it didn't seal properly, and then have to pull it all apart again. So I'm going to throw that one and put this one in. So there's the new O-ring. And now we've got the new fuel pump here. So the plug faces to the passenger seat, and the pump or hose, output hose faces to the outside of the car or to the driver's side. So you want to be very careful getting the level in. Oop, don't do what I just did. We're going to put this on. Just like that. Alrighty. Now that's in, it is spring loaded, so you just have to push down, put that retaining ring on and start getting some screws in. So here's the retaining ring. It goes dirty side up, but we're going to clean it, so just have a look at the shape of that, and it goes this side up. So we're going to put this in now. And then you push down and start putting screws in. It is spring loaded, so it wants to come back up. Just going around in a circle, and oh, not in a circle, but a star pattern, and tightened up all those little bolts just like you would on a tyre. You know, crisscross, go opposite in a star pattern, just to spread that force evenly across that O-ring. Remember not to do them up too tight, they're only little bolts. Alrighty, so we're ready to hook this up and I guess see if it works. So the plug worked, which is awesome, so that gives me hope that this should just be a straight swap. Here's the sender, just going to unplug it. Take a little bit of a wiggle. There you go. So we've got the new O-ring going in. And this one isn't spring loaded, so it's a bit easier to get in. Alright, so we've got both the new ones in. They're both plugged in properly. And I am going to connect the battery back up and see if my fuel gauge does anything this time. Alrighty guys, so the Z is all back together. We just went to the fuel station to fill up with fuel, and check this out. Look at that, all the way to the top. Completely full. My DTE and other stuff up here is reading properly now, which is awesome. So that's something that most of us didn't even know these Zs did. All of us are so used to having a busted fuel gauge on the early models. I think by the late model they fixed it. Alrighty guys, so if you want to do this on your car, you'll need the pump assembly and the sender assembly. So the pump assembly is this big one here, and the sender assembly is this little one here. So I don't even want to know how much Nissan charges for them, but I found them on Z1 Motorsports, and the sender assembly was about $150, I think. I managed to get these from Nissan, and I think they charged me 30 bucks for an O-ring, which is insane. And the sender assembly from Z1 Motorsports was about 400. Keep in mind that is US, so if you're looking to get them imported, it's going to be a bit expensive. You might be best off going to a wrecker, but you'll probably have to pull it out yourself. But yeah, I've got a working fuel gauge now. Only took me probably about an hour, maybe 2 hours. Just make sure when you put them in, you watch the O-rings, you watch the dust and debris on top of them, and make sure you keep track of the hose that goes into the pump assembly. You don't want it to be wrapped around anything that it's not meant to be. But other than that, it's pretty easy. So we're done. I'll see you guys in the next one.